Young man, I feel the weight you carry, the loneliness that no one seems to notice. The nights when your heart aches so deeply, it almost feels like it will break. I know what it is to long for something real. Someone to see you, to love you, to hold your wounded heart as it beats against the world's harshness. And I hear the Spirit whispering to you right now, I see you, my child. I know your pain. I am with you. Even if the world has turned its back, even if love has failed or hurt, has left scars too deep to speak about, the Lord is still reaching his hand to you. He is saying, not with judgment, not with harshness, but with tender care, you are not forgotten. You are precious. You are loved. And though it may feel impossible to believe, he is inviting you into a deeper place. A place where your heart can breathe freely, where tears are not weakness, but healing, and where your spirit can rise into his embrace. Tonight, even if you've given up on everyone else, listen carefully. God has a word for you, and it is more powerful than any fear, any rejection, any hurt you've known. There is a truth many young men carry silently, a truth that hides in the quiet corners of their hearts, yet where even the loudest voices of the world cannot reach them. It is the fear that no one sees them, the subtle ache that whispers, I am invisible. My struggles, my dreams, my pains, they don't matter. And yet, I want to speak to you tonight as God speaks to you. He sees you. Every tear you have cried when no one was watching, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt and fear, he sees it. You are not alone, and you are not hidden from him. Let your heart receive that truth, not as a distant promise, but as a living reality. Your heart has felt the sharp edges of the world's rejection, the silence of friendship that should have comforted you, the betrayal of love that promised everything and left emptiness behind. And perhaps in that silence, you have built walls, trying to convince yourself that if no one else sees you, it will hurt less. But God's eyes are not like the eyes of the world. He does not overlook, he does not tire, he does not glance away when you feel too heavy, too broken, too small. Even now, his spirit whispers to your soul, I see you, my beloved. I delight in you. You are enough in my eyes. You may wonder how a God so infinite could care about someone so ordinary, someone so easily overlooked. But Scripture reminds us that he knows the number of hairs on your head. He understands the intricate design of your heart, the secret sorrows you have carried. He counts each tear, he knows each longing, and he bends his ear toward your cry. Hear these words not as theory, but as truth carved into the very fabric of your life. As you breathed, let your spirit lean into the assurance that you are known, that you are loved, that you are held. Father, I come before you now with a heart weighed down by silence. I bring before you the hidden hurts, the private fears, and the deep longing for your presence. Surround this heart with your comforting spirit. Let it feel the warmth of your gaze, the tenderness of your love, and the peace that passes all understanding. Heal the wounds that no one else has seen. Restore what the enemy has tried to steal. Let your eyes of mercy rest upon this young man tonight, and let him know he is seen, he is known, he is beloved. Even if the world refuses to notice, even if friends abandon or love disappoints, you are not unseen. There is a divine witness to your journey, a heavenly Father whose heart is attuned to yours in ways no human can replicate. Imagine him sitting beside you now, his hand resting gently on your shoulder, his presence filling every empty space in your soul. He does not demand performance. He does not require you to fix yourself before you approach him. He asks only that you come as you are and let him love you fully. And so you begin to surrender the invisible burdens you have carried for so long. It might be frightening to let someone see the depths of your fear, the raw edges of your grief, but God's Spirit is gentle. You do not have to hide the cracks. Those cracks are the very places where His light enters, where His love flows most freely. Offer up each hidden wound, each private heart-ache, each lonely longing, yet, and feel His healing presence filling the spaces you thought were empty. Lord, I lift up this young man who feels invisible. Shine your light into the hidden places of his heart. Let him sense your nearness. Let him hear your whisper of love, not in thunder, yet not in judgment, but in quiet assurance. Give him courage to trust that he is fully known and fully loved. Even when the world does not notice, may his heart awaken to the truth that he is not alone, that his pain matters, and that your spirit is moving on his behalf. There may have been moments when you asked, "Does anyone care? Does anyone understand?" And the world responded with silence. And yet, even in that silence, the Spirit of God has been speaking. Every sigh, every silent prayer, every night spent wrestling with fear has been heard. There is a God who tracks your journey like a shepherd tracing each step of his flock. You may not always feel it, but he is always there, yet patient, tender, waiting for your heart to look up and receive the love that has been reaching for you all along. Allow the Spirit to comfort you in the knowledge that your inner life is valuable. Your thoughts, your tears, your struggles, He treasures them. When you feel small, weak, or insignificant, remember that in the kingdom of God, the hidden and humble are often the most treasured. Let this truth sink deep into your bones. You do not have to earn His attention. You do not have to perform. You do not have to prove your worth. You are already known, already beloved, already seen. Father, let your Spirit descend gently upon this young man's heart tonight. Let the awareness of your presence flood him with peace. Open his eyes to see himself through your eyes, to understand that his life is precious, that his story matters, and that he is never, ever unseen. Calm the anxieties, quiet the fears, and fill him with your spirit of reassurance and love. Yet, may he walk away from this moment with the unshakable certainty that you have been with him all along. And as your heart begins to accept this truth, feel the subtle release of burdens you have carried alone, those things that have felt invisible to everyone else. God sees them. Those nights of aching longing, those silent prayers for understanding, those hidden tears, He notices them. Allow yourself to rest in that awareness. Let the love of God pour over every wound, seep into every corner, and carry away the sense of being unseen. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are fully, completely, divinely known. Your heart has carried pain that feels unending, and the weight of it may have convinced you that healing is impossible. Perhaps you have tried to numb it, hide it, or push it away, thinking that if you could just ignore it long enough, it might disappear. But pain that is buried does not vanish. It waits quietly, shaping your thoughts, your actions, your ability to love and trust. And yet, the Spirit whispers gently to your soul tonight, your heart can heal. You are not broken beyond restoration. You are mine. Healing is not a distant dream reserved for others. It begins here now, the moment you open your heart to the tender work of God. There is no shame in your brokenness, only a sacred opportunity. Every hurt, every betrayal, yet every disappointment has brought you to this precise moment so that the grace of God could meet you where you are. Surrendering your pain does not mean that you erase the past, but that you allow God to transform it. It is in the laying down of your own strength, your own understanding, your own efforts, that His Spirit can work. Imagine the gentle arms of Jesus surrounding your heart, lifting each fragment of sorrow, each aching memory, and holding it as sacred. He does not rush the process, and He does not demand perfection. Yet, He only asks that you trust Him enough to let Him touch what has been too tender, too painful, too hidden to handle on your own. Lord, I lift up this young man to you now. Take his heart heavy with unspoken sorrow, and pour your healing spirit into every place that aches. Let the memories that wound him be softened by your mercy. Restore what has been broken. Bind up the wounds of his soul with the balm of your love. May he feel your presence in the quietest chambers of his heart, the rooms he has locked away from the world. Let him hear your voice whispering hope, even when he cannot see the way forward. You may have grown accustomed to the belief that healing is complicated, that it takes years, that it is only for those who have it all together. But the truth is far simpler, far more beautiful, yet far more available than you have been told. Healing begins with a single act of surrender, the choice to open your heart to God's touch, to offer Him your pain, and to allow His love to flow into every corner. It is not a magical erasure of your struggles, but a transformation that reshapes your soul, remakes your spirit, and restores your ability to see life through eyes that have been softened and strengthened by grace. Feel the Spirit moving now. Even as you read these words, He is drawing near, ready to meet you where you are. You do not need to understand every step. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to have healed before you come. Just as the prodigal was welcomed home with open arms, yet you too can lay down your burdens and allow God to embrace the pieces of yourself you have hidden for so long. Yet you can let the shame dissolve, the regrets soften, and the fear of being unworthy fade in the presence of a love that cannot fail. Father, pour out your spirit of healing over this young man's heart. Breathe into every place where pain has lingered. Let the memory of hurts be washed in your mercy. Teach him to trust your process, to rest in your timing, to know that restoration is already in motion. Let him feel the gentle warmth of your love, covering the raw edges of his soul. Let him be reminded that even in the midst of suffering, your spirit is working to bring wholeness, peace, and a new depth of understanding. Healing does not mean that life will suddenly become easy. It does not mean that every sorrow disappears or that struggles are completely removed. Healing means that you are no longer carrying those burdens alone. It means that your heart begins to breathe freely again, that your spirit can hope again, that the walls you built for protection can start to come down. It means that God is holding the broken pieces and slowly, gently, lovingly restoring them. Each day, each quiet moment, each prayer whispered in the stillness becomes part of this restoration. There is a sacred rhythm in the act of allowing God to heal your heart. It begins with acknowledgement, admitting that you are wounded, that you have carried pain too long, that your soul longs for restoration. Then comes surrender, giving Him permission to touch your heart, to work where you cannot, to restore what seems impossible. And finally comes trust, believing that even when the process feels slow, even when fear rises, even when the past whispers that healing is a lie, God is faithful. He is never late. He is never inattentive. He is never unwilling to pour His Spirit into your life to bring hope, restoration, and peace. Lord, Come into the quiet of his heart. Let him feel the soothing of your spirit. Breathe new life into the places that have been dry and weary. Yet, help him to release the grip of old hurts, to let go of resentment, to leave behind the shadows that have bound him. Replace the heaviness with hope, the doubt with trust, and the brokenness with the knowledge of your tender care. Teach him to lean not on his own understanding, but to rely on your power to heal, to restore, and to transform. Allow yourself to feel it now, the gentle power of God's love entering the spaces that have been empty. Each breath becomes lighter, each thought becomes freer, each memory touched by his grace begins to soften. He does not rush, he does not force. He invites, he whispers, he patiently draws your heart into a rhythm of restoration. You can rest in his presence, you can lean on his spirit, and you can begin to feel the quiet joy of a heart being made whole again. Even in the midst of confusion, even in the aftermath of disappointment, even when life has left scars too deep to explain, the Spirit is at work. You are not alone. You are not forgotten, and your heart is capable of healing in ways beyond your understanding. The invitation is before you. Allow God to pour his love into every broken corner. Allow him to restore what has been lost. Allow his spirit to breathe new life into your soul and step into the gentle, transforming process of wholeness. Many of you are carrying confusion in matters of love, wondering if you will ever experience a connection that is real, lasting, and safe. Perhaps you have loved deeply, only to have your heart returned bruised and uncertain. Perhaps you have longed for someone who seems just out of reach, or struggled to trust after repeated disappointment. And yet, there is a love available to you that transcends all human understanding, a love that is unwavering, pure, and eternal. It is the love of God, and it reaches to the depths of your heart, even when you cannot see a way forward. His love is not conditional on your performance, not dependent on someone else's affection, and not limited by your mistakes or your fears. It is steady, constant, and complete, waiting for you to receive it fully. God's love is not distant or impersonal. It is personal, tender, and intimate. It knows the number of tears you have cried in silence, the sleepless nights, the whispered prayers of your heart, the hidden fears and longings that no one else seems to understand. He knows the ache that comes from longing for connection, the desire to be seen, the hope that someone might love you without condition. And he says to you now, I am that love. I am what you have been searching for. I am with you even when the world fails to be. Let those words sink into your spirit. Feel the warmth, the reassurance, the gentle power of his presence as it begins to quiet the anxiety, the restlessness, and the doubt. Lord, I lift up this young man to you who has been hurt by love, who has longed for acceptance and belonging, who has questioned whether love is real or possible. Pour into his heart the fullness of your love. Let him feel it covering every wound, softening every fear, and restoring every broken part of his spirit. Let him know that your love is unwavering, unshakable, and sufficient for every need of his heart. Teach him to receive it, to rest in it, and to allow it to shape the way he sees himself and the world around him. Yet, you may be tempted to measure your worth by the love others give or withdraw. You may believe that because someone has hurt you, abandoned you, or rejected you, you are somehow unworthy. But the truth is that God's love does not fluctuate. It does not depend on performance, agreement, or favor. It is constant, a river that flows through every circumstance, healing every wound, restoring every brokenness, and reminding you that your value is rooted in Him. The love of God is not just something to be believed, it is something to be felt, experienced, and lived. Let your heart open to it now and feel the gentle warmth of His embrace, yet the assurance that you are enough, the knowledge that you are deeply treasured. Father, come into the corners of His heart where doubt has settled, where past hurts have left scars, and where fear has whispered lies. Fill Him with the reality of your love. Let it penetrate the places that have been wounded by disappointment and betrayal. Restore His ability to trust, His ability to hope, His capacity to give and receive love without fear. Yet, let Him experience your tenderness as a living presence, touching every part of His heart and soul that has felt neglected or unworthy. Even as you have struggled to understand love, even as you have sought it in the wrong places, God's love remains steadfast. It does not require you to be perfect. It does not turn away when you falter. It does not diminish when others fail. And as you begin to receive His love, yet, you will discover a new capacity to love yourself and to recognize the presence of His Spirit in every relationship, every choice, every interaction. His love becomes the lens through which you see the world, the measure of your worth, yet, and the source of courage to open your heart again, yet. Allow the Spirit to guide you into the realization that God's love is more than a concept. It's a reality that transforms every aspect of your life. It brings peace in the midst of confusion, hope in the midst of disappointment, and strength in the midst of vulnerability. It does not erase the pain of past experiences, but it redeems them, making them tools for growth, wisdom, and greater intimacy with Him. You are being reshaped not by what has hurt you, but by the love that is healing you now. Lord, teach him to rest in your love, to let it wash over his fears and doubts. Let it soften the hardness that has grown in response to hurt. Let it speak truth to his mind when the world tells him he is unworthy. Let it guide his heart toward wholeness, courage, and the freedom to trust again. May he come to understand that the love he has longed for has been present all along, patiently waiting for him to open his eyes and receive it. There may be moments when human love disappoints, when it falters, or when it causes confusion and pain. And yet, even in those moments, the love of God remains. It is a refuge, a stronghold, a place where your heart can rest. It is not just a comfort for the broken, but a power that renews, restores, and empowers you to live fully, to love deeply, and to embrace life with a spirit that is unshakable. Allow His love to become the foundation upon which you build your understanding of relationships, self-worth, and hope. Feel the gentle power of God's love filling every space that has felt empty. Let it restore your faith in connection, yet your trust in goodness and your courage to open your heart. Let it reshape your desires, not by forcing, but by guiding you into a deeper understanding of what it means to be loved fully and completely. Let the Spirit remind you that this love is not something to earn or achieve, but something to receive and dwell in every day, moment by moment. Even as you continue to navigate the complexities of life and relationships, God's love remains a constant, a foundation, and a healing presence. Open your heart to it now. Allow it to speak truth to your soul, and feel the quiet restoration that comes from knowing that you are deeply, completely, and eternally loved. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to stop striving, to stop controlling, to stop fighting alone. Yet, you may have carried the weight of responsibility for so long that surrendering feels like losing, like giving up, like admitting defeat. But God's way is not about your striving or your endless effort. It is about trust, about yielding to his guidance, yet, and about allowing his spirit to lead where your own understanding cannot. Surrender is not weakness, nor is it failure. It is a courageous act, an act of faith, an opening of the heart to a power greater than your own, a power that is gentle, patient, and infinitely wise. Perhaps you have fought for acceptance, love, success, or recognition, yet believing that your effort alone could secure what your heart longs for. Perhaps you have carried the weight of expectations, yours and those of others, and it has left you wary, anxious, and uncertain. And yet, even now, the Spirit whispers tenderly to you, "Lay it down. Let me carry this for you. Trust me, for I am with you always." There is freedom in surrender, a release of the burden that has been pressing on your soul, a relief that comes not from achieving, but from allowing God to work in his perfect timing and perfect way. Lord, I lift up this young man who feels burdened by the weight of life. Help him to release the pressure he has been carrying alone. Teach him to lay down his striving, his fear, and his desire to control outcomes. Let him feel the peace that comes from trusting you, the quiet assurance that you are able and willing to guide, protect, and provide. Open his heart to the reality that surrender is not a loss, but a victory, a path to healing, restoration, and freedom. Surrender begins with acknowledgement, admitting that you cannot do it all yet, that your strength is limited, and that there is a greater power ready to lead, guide, and restore. It is in this admission that humility meets faith, and the heart begins to experience the peace that surpasses understanding. It is in letting go of what we think we need to control that we allow God to move freely, shaping our lives in ways that are wiser, kinder, and more loving than anything we could have imagined. Even as you struggle with the idea of surrender, remember that Jesus himself showed us the power of yielding. In every step of his journey, he submitted to the Father's will, even when it led through pain, uncertainty, and challenge. He teaches us through his example that surrender is not passive. It is active trust. It is intentional faith. It is choosing to let God's love and wisdom guide your decisions, your heart, and your steps, even when you cannot see the full path ahead. Father, pour your spirit into him now, yet, helping him to release the burden he has been carrying in isolation. Teach him to trust your timing and your wisdom. Let him feel the reassurance of your presence when uncertainty looms, when fear rises, or when the weight of life feels unbearable. Fill him with courage to surrender daily, moment by moment, knowing that your hand is guiding, your spirit is comforting, and your love is unfailing. Surrender does not mean inaction. It does not mean waiting passively for life to happen. Rather, it is the act of aligning your heart with God's will, stepping forward in faith, and trusting that each decision, each step, and each choice is held in his care. When you surrender, you are not giving up. You are stepping into partnership with the Creator, allowing his power to flow through your life in ways that bring healing, wisdom, and restoration. There is a gentle peace that follows surrender, a deep assurance that you are not alone, a quiet joy that comes from knowing that your life is being directed by the one who knows you completely. Yet, that peace does not always come immediately, and it does not erase challenges, but it gives you strength to face them, clarity to navigate them, and courage to walk forward even when the path is uncertain. Yet, it is a peace that transforms the way you see yourself, others, and the world around you. Lord, yet, continue to guide him into the fullness of your surrender. Let him experience the freedom that comes from releasing the need to control, from trusting that you are able to lead, from feeling your spirit strengthen his heart. Teach him to rest in your care, to walk forward in faith, and to know that surrender is not the absence of effort, but the presence of your power working through him. As your heart begins to practice surrender, you will notice subtle shifts. The anxiety that once consumed your thoughts begins to soften. The need to prove yourself diminishes. The fear of making mistakes loses its grip, and in its place, a new sense of trust emerges. Trust that God is near, that he is faithful, and that his spirit is moving in your life to bring healing, direction, and joy. Surrender does not remove difficulty, but it changes how you bear it, how you respond in, and how you experience the journey. Allow yourself to feel the gentle strength that comes from letting go. Let the Spirit remind you that each moment of surrender is a step toward freedom. Each act of trust is a step toward peace. And each prayer, whispered in humility, draws you closer to God's presence. As you open your heart to his guidance, yet, you will discover a resilience that does not rely on your own strength, a wisdom that surpasses human understanding, and a love that sustains you in every circumstance. Even when life is uncertain, even when the road is difficult, even when the weight seems too great, surrender anchors you in God's presence. It transforms fear into faith, burden into strength, and striving into rest. It allows the Spirit to work in ways you could never achieve alone, restoring your heart, renewing your courage, yet, and deepening your intimacy with the one who loves you beyond measure. Even when it seems that no one hears you, when your voice feels swallowed by silence, when your prayers seem to float unanswered into the air, God is listening. Even when the world appears to have abandoned you, even when you feel alone, his Spirit is present, moving, and working on your behalf. Courage is not the absence of fear or doubt. It is the act of stepping forward despite them. Trusting that God's hand is guiding your steps even when the path is unclear. Yet, there is a quiet strength that comes from knowing that the Creator of the universe, the one who formed you and knows every detail of your life, is attentive to your heart and ready to lead you through every challenge. You may have experienced moments when life felt like a series of unanswered questions, moments when you cried out and received only silence, moments when the weight of confusion, fear, or rejection pressed down on your spirit. And yet, in that silence, God is speaking. Yet, he is speaking through the gentle stirrings of your heart, through the whisper of his Spirit, through the small nudges that remind you he is near. He is shaping your courage not by removing obstacles, but by teaching you to walk faithfully in the presence of his love, to trust in his guidance, and to hold fast to the promise that his Spirit is always with you. Lord, I lift up this young man who feels unheard and unseen. Even when the world ignores him, let him feel your attentive gaze. Let him sense your Spirit moving in the quiet spaces of his life, guiding him, strengthening him, and filling him with courage. Teach him to trust that your hand is at work, even when circumstances appear contrary, that you are leading him faithfully, and that your love is constant and unchanging. Let him experience the deep reassurance of your presence in ways that renew his hope, restore his spirit, and empower him to step forward with confidence. Courage does not mean that you will not feel fear. It does not mean that challenges disappear, that setbacks vanish, or that pain will not visit you. Courage means that in the midst of fear, in the presence of uncertainty, and in the face of trials, you choose to move forward, trusting that God is with you. Each step you take in faith, each moment you resist the urge to retreat into despair, is an act of profound strength, an invitation for the Spirit to work more deeply in your life, yet, and a declaration that your hope is anchored in something eternal rather than fleeting. The process of developing courage often begins in silence. It begins with stillness, with listening, yet with allowing the Spirit to speak to your heart without the distractions of the world. In those moments, you can feel His presence more clearly, hear His guidance more distinctly, and recognize the subtle movements of His Spirit leading you forward. Courage grows not from loud declarations, but from quiet trust, yet from the intimate moments when your heart aligns with God's will, and from the steadfast awareness that He has not forgotten you, even when you cannot see His work with your eyes. Father, descend into the quiet of His heart and speak courage to His soul. Let Him feel your Spirit surrounding him, protecting him, and guiding him with wisdom. When fear arises, remind him of your promises. When doubt whispers lies, let your truth resonate in his mind and heart. Teach him to walk faithfully, to trust in your timing, and to rely on your power rather than his own. May his courage be strengthened by the awareness of your constant presence and unfailing love. Even when circumstances seem overwhelming, when rejection or failure presses in, remember that God's Spirit is moving unseen. But courage is often nurtured in the hidden places, in moments when perseverance feels impossible, and in times when you feel utterly alone. By leaning into Him, by allowing His Spirit to direct your steps, you are building a resilience that does not depend on circumstances, recognition, or human approval. Your courage becomes rooted in the eternal, unshakable presence of God. And this makes it far more powerful than anything the world can shake or threaten. Allow the Spirit to remind you that each small act of trust, each moment of obedience, and each prayer lifted in faith is a step toward greater courage. It may not feel grand or visible, but it is profound and transformative. God's work in your heart is subtle, patient, and thorough. It is shaping you into a person who can face life's challenges not with fear, but with confidence rooted in the knowledge that His Spirit is always present, guiding, sustaining, and protecting you. Lord, let your Spirit awaken courage in every corner of His heart where fear and doubt have taken root. Let him recognize that true bravery comes not from his own strength, but from leaning into you. Let him feel the power of your presence lifting him above despair, emboldening him to take each step, and reassuring him that he is never alone. May he sense your guidance in his decisions, your protection in his trials, and your unwavering love in every circumstance. As your heart begins to absorb this truth, you will notice a subtle shift. The fear that once dictated your actions begins to soften. The anxiety that once pressed down on your spirit loses its intensity. The feelings of inadequacy that whispered lies about your worth are replaced by an awareness of God's presence and a recognition of the courage He is cultivating within you. You begin to walk with a quiet confidence, a steadfast hope, and a reliance on the Spirit that transforms how you approach life, relationships, and challenges. Even in the moments when the journey feels difficult, when the road is uncertain, yet, and when fear threatens to overwhelm, God's Spirit is present, encouraging, strengthening, and directing you. Courage is cultivated in these moments, rooted in trust and fortified by the awareness that you are not walking alone. Each step, yet, guided by the Spirit, builds resilience, deepens faith, and affirms that your hope is grounded in God's eternal love rather than in fleeting circumstances. Allow yourself to lean into this presence. Feel it surround you, lift you, and sustain you. Let the Spirit speak to your heart, reassure your soul, and ignite a courage that can face the storms, the trials, and the uncertainties of life. Each act of faith, each prayer whispered, and each choice to trust the Lord, even when it is hard, strengthens the courage that is already being cultivated in your heart. Finally, know these miracles are not always dramatic, loud, or immediately visible. They often arrive in quiet, subtle ways, in moments that feel ordinary yet carry extraordinary significance. The Spirit works in these moments, shaping your life, your heart, and your understanding of God's love in ways that transform from the inside out. A miracle may be the healing of a wounded heart, the sudden clarity of understanding, the gentle restoration of hope, or the quiet peace that seeps into your spirit when life has felt uncertain, chaotic, or broken. God's miraculous presence is constantly at work, though it often comes softly, inviting you to notice, receive, and rejoice. You may have been searching for signs, for confirmations, for evidence of God's power in ways that feel grand and unmistakable. And yet, the Spirit gently reminds you that miracles can also be the unseen shifts in your heart, the subtle nudges toward patience, compassion, or faith, the quiet assurance that you are not walking this journey alone. When you open your heart to these moments, you begin to recognize that God's work in your life is intimate, personal, and continuous. Every step you take, every tear you shed, every prayer you lift is noticed and transformed by His loving hand. Lord, pour out your spirit of wonder and renewal over this young man. Yet, let him see the evidence of your miracles in the ordinary moments of life. Open his eyes to your hand at work in places he may have overlooked, in ways he could not imagine. Teach him to recognize your presence in the subtle shifts of his heart, in the restoration of his hope, and in the deepening of his understanding of your love. Let him embrace the quiet miracles that remind him that you are near, yet that you are faithful, and that your Spirit moves in every circumstance of his life. The miraculous often begins with small, almost imperceptible shifts in your heart and mind. You may notice a new sense of peace when anxiety has been constant, a gentle clarity when confusion has ruled, or a rekindled hope in the places that felt barren. These are not coincidences. They are divine interventions, evidence of God's Spirit shaping your life in ways that cannot always be measured or explained. Yet, as you begin to notice and receive these small miracles, your heart grows more attuned to the Spirit. Your faith deepens, and your hope expands. Sometimes a miracle comes as healing. Perhaps you have carried emotional scars, wounds from past betrayals, or lingering hurts that seem impossible to release. God's Spirit can bring restoration, mending the broken parts of your heart, renewing your strength, and filling you with a sense of wholeness that you may have thought was lost. Healing may not happen instantly or in the way you expected, but it unfolds with patience, love, and divine precision, gradually restoring your ability to trust, to hope, and to love again. Father, breathe healing into every wounded place in his heart. Restore the areas of pain that have lingered too long. Let him experience the gentle work of your Spirit, mending, renewing, and transforming what was once broken. Teach him to recognize the hand of God at work in the quiet restoration of his life. Fill him with the knowledge that your miracles are not limited to grand gestures, but are present in every act of love, every answered prayer, and every moment of grace. Miracles also come in moments of understanding, when confusion clouds your heart, when doubt overwhelms your mind, or when uncertainty threatens to paralyze your spirit, the Spirit can bring clarity. These moments illuminate the path forward, showing you the steps you might take, the choices that honor God's plan, and the ways that He is moving in your life to guide and protect you. Understanding may come gradually or suddenly, but it is always a work of His love designed to bring peace and confidence to your heart. The miraculous can also be found in the gift of new perspective. When old wounds, regrets, or fears weigh heavily on your spirit, God can grant you a renewed vision of your life. You begin to see challenges as opportunities for growth, mistakes as lessons, and relationships as places where His Spirit can work to shape your heart. This new perspective is a miracle in itself, allowing you to live with greater hope, gratitude, and trust in God's plan. Lord, open His eyes to see life through the lens of your Spirit. Let Him recognize your miraculous presence in the subtle, everyday moments. Transform His understanding, His perspective, and His heart so that He may walk in confidence, hope, and joy. Remind Him that your spirit is constantly at work, bringing restoration, clarity, yet, and peace in ways that are often unseen but profoundly real. As your heart becomes more receptive to the miraculous, you will begin to notice the subtle movements of God's Spirit guiding you, protecting you, and shaping your life. Yet, these miracles may manifest as restored relationships, unexpected opportunities, answered prayers, or the quiet assurance that everything is unfolding according to God's perfect plan. Each of these moments reinforces the truth that His presence is near, His love is constant, and His Spirit is continually moving in your favor. The ultimate miracle, however, is the transformation of your heart itself. As God works in your life, your fears begin to dissipate, your hope is renewed, your trust in His presence deepens, and your spirit begins to rest in the certainty of His love. This transformation allows you to walk in freedom, courage, and joy, yet recognizing that even in the ordinary and the quiet, God is working extraordinary miracles that shape your life and draw you closer to Him. Allow yourself to receive these miracles now. Feel the Spirit moving in your heart, whispering reassurance, healing your wounds, and illuminating the path forward. Each moment of grace, each quiet restoration, and each renewed understanding is a reminder that God's miraculous presence is constant, that His love is steadfast, yet, and that His Spirit is at work in every detail of your life. Let your heart open fully to receive the miraculous power of His love, allowing it to restore, transform, and guide you into the fullness of life He has prepared.